Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Outer Region Wars, within the ancient Star Tower. Within a palace. Luo Feng had given an order via the virtual universe to Heavy Arrow, sense my location and teleport via God Country over. In a few seconds, a blurry light filled the palace and the space rippled. A silhouette appeared. It was the masked tall and skinny Heavy Arrow. He immediately bowed at the sight of Luo Feng. Greetings, master. Luo Feng nodded. Simultaneously, he felt the thoughts of the Star Tower. Should we kill this intruder? This was considered the core of the tower, and it forbade any intruders. The moment one entered, it could engage its own defenses to kill the intruder. As for the forbidden spaces, it was free for countless warriors to enter. No. Luo Feng communicated back. The Star Tower was one of the strongest treasures in the universe. A weapon, however, was after all just a weapon. Its intellect was low. Its calculation speed may match up to an AI, but its emotional intelligence was that of a 2- or 3-year-old child. Back then, Tian Chen's matter, did he reveal himself? Luo Feng asked. Master, he didn't. Heavy Arrow said respectfully. If you didn't warn me, I wouldn't even have discovered that he was so scheming. Only when I observed him carefully did I discover that something was amiss with Chu Wu Emperor's death. And after his death, I fled immediately. The demon camp actually pushed towards me, leaving my side with only Tian Chen. In theory, he was supposed to die, yet he managed to survive. HM. Luo Feng nodded. This was also within his expectations. Judging from his own interaction with Tian Chen, this person was careful. Even when he had plans to kill Luo Feng, he didn't act until the final moment. If not for Luo Feng's strong willpower against illusions, Tian Chen may have succeeded. Star Tower. Luo Feng ordered, search for a human undying. The many sealed stars revolved within the palace. Luo Feng sat cross-legged and communicated with the tower. Heavy Arrow stood beside him respectfully. There are a total of 359 human undyings in the tower. The information poured into his mind, images appearing as the many human warriors' battles, training and chats with allies appeared. These were all humans. Even though there were hundreds of thousands of undyings, there were few real humans within. He quickly scanned through all of them. No Tian Chen. He frowned. Star Tower, scan carefully if there's this person on my arm screen. An image of Tian Chen appeared on his arm. There's no such person, he left 1,800 years ago. Star Tower communicated. He's already left. Luo Feng stared wide-eyed and stood up suddenly. Master. Heavy Arrow took a step forward and asked, are we going to deal with Tian Chen? He's not in the tower now. Luo Feng shook his head. This was now his battlefield, and he had a huge advantage. However, as the life or death inheritance had taken over 6,000 years, many of the warriors normally only explored the outer region wars for up to 10,000 years. It was normal that Tian Chen had left. Who knows if he's still in the outer region wars? Has he returned to humanity? Luo Feng shook his head, his eyes gleaming. Very good, if you've left, that would be even better. I'll still kill you. Master, what's our next move? Heavy Arrow asked. Don't get anxious. He smiled. He is after all a member of the Hong Alliance. I know many friends that are his too. Even though I cannot contact him directly, through his friends, it'll be easy to find him. Then I'll be able to make my move. However, before that, I still have something to do. Heavy Arrow was curious. Luo Feng turned to look outside. The vast sealed stars were revolving. I need to get more soul slaves. He was the master of the tower. Even though he couldn't trigger the entire tower, he still had a huge advantage. Using the tower, he could clearly know the hundreds of thousands of Undying's locations, and which forbidden spaces they were in. He was even able to send himself there. As long as I want to, I can pick any battle to join. And no exits will ever appear unless I will it too. Be it a day, 10 days or a month. As such, how can anything go wrong? His eyes gleamed with ambition. Having allies and slaves was extremely important in the universe. And to get a large number of slaves was a hard thing to do. One had to meet someone he could deal with and make him unable to flee, and soul control was something a soul master was best at, and these masters were extremely rare. Other than that, there was only one more stupid way to go about it. Force them into a coma and control them after. However, this method had its own weakness, forcing the enemy into a coma. The enemy might sense the danger and self-destruct. Also, if he went slightly overboard, he could very likely kill the enemy instead. Secondly, even if he succeeded, controlling a comatose Undying would require him to wait a long time for the Undying to awaken and recover. Using treasures could help speed things up, but the costs were high. In all, controlling a powerful Undying slave required one to have strength close to or stronger, and it was still an extremely hard thing to do. Normally, only the masters of soul attacks had higher proficiency. In the universe, who could so easily meet so many warriors? And who had such power to easily pick whoever they wanted? I have full control. It just depends on whether I have the ability to control them. Luo Feng communicated with the Star Tower, and began to search for some absolute warriors. The targets were naturally Emperor limits. With his current strength, dealing with Life Fall Emperor, or Seven Blade would still be extremely hard. As for Pinnacle Emperors, Luo Feng didn't care about them, unless it was a Pinnacle Emperor Soul Master. Hence he set his targets as Emperor Limits and Emperor Pinnacle Soul Masters. Him. Luo Feng smiled. Demon Camp, CIYA Race, Black Crow Emperor, Emperor Pinnacle Soul Master will be my first target. There were countless forbidden spaces within the Star Tower. Within a particular one, wild winds howled as snow fell. Amidst the snow, 3 blurry silhouettes sat crossed-legged within. My luck sure is bad. That High Emperor human earlier was about to be killed, yet at the last moment he managed to flee from Black Crow's control. A turtle-like creature howled, its blood-red eyes filled with ferocity. Damn! Another similar life form howled. The two of them were from the far reaches of the universe, and they had temporarily joined the Demon Camp's Chiogyo race. They were a tone life form. These two Emperor Pinnacles had a similarity with that race. Their defenses were very strong. Very few of them joined the outer region wars, and the number of emperors were even fewer. Within Star Tower, there were only 3 emperors, and they became known as the Chiogyo CIYA brothers. We must have patience. A hoarse voice resounded. It was a black-furred bird-like creature with jade-green eyes. He was Black Crow Emperor, the leader of this team. There are hundreds of thousands of Undyings here. We will have a chance. With patience, our hunt will succeed. The 2 Chiogyo CIYA warriors howled in agreement. Black Crow suddenly turned to the distance. The 2 crossed-legged creatures beside turned too. A space slit had appeared. I was right. With patience, look, a prey has come. Black Crow said hoarsely. The 2 CIYA warriors howled with excitement, their eyes gleaming as they looked on. Even though they were filled with killing intent, without seeing their target, they didn't dare make a move. It might be another Demon Camp warrior, or someone stronger than them. A silhouette appeared amidst the snow. Black Crow and the brothers looked over carefully. The silhouette seemed human, with silver wings and armor. He floated in mid-air. It's a human. The brothers howled. Blade River Emperor. Black Crow's expression changed, as Blade River's name was well known. Even though it made them go on alert, but it was not enough to scare them off. Ha ha, I actually bumped into Black Crow. The youth stood in mid-air and laughed, shaking the space about. Blade River. Black Crow's laughter resounded. Where's your slave Heavy Arrow? Call him out. A silhouette appeared beside. It was the masked Heavy Arrow. This made Black Crow's laughter grow even more piercing. Ha ha ha, very good human Blade River Emperor. If I kill you, that's a huge windfall. He secretly ordered two, brothers, I'll rely on you to hold up Heavy Arrow, while I deal with Blade River. Relax, even though we aren't a match for Heavy Arrow, we can still definitely hold him for a while. The two brothers were very confident. Killing intent rose from both sides. Heavy Arrow stood respectfully beside Luo Feng. Luo Feng, however, smiled at the scene. He had to pick a team that was close to him in strength. Otherwise, anyone else would have fled after seeing Heavy Arrow. Let's see the power of the star map. With a flip of his left hand, the star map appeared. There were visible star imprints within, and 6 black balls were floating within, after which they floated onto his palm. The battle began instantly. Heavy Arrow immediately teleported beside Black Crow, and almost simultaneously, one of the Chiu brothers used space lockdown. Behind him, the two brothers had their shells swell up in thick armor, becoming like two fortresses. Rumble. The space shook as the two brothers were like two moving fortresses, pressuring the space around and attacking Heavy Arrow. Black Crow, deal with Blade River. We can at most hold Heavy Arrow for a while, you have to settle it fast. The two warriors communicated urgently. Relax. Black Crow replied. When Heavy Arrow had teleported, Black Crow and Luo Feng had instantly begun to fight as well. This Blade River Emperor relied on the Flame God Crystal to kill Purple Clock, and forced Heavy Arrow into a coma, becoming famous through that fight. His defense is heavenly, more powerful than normal Emperor limits, and his blade is very powerful too, killing 10 Emperors at a go, with 1 slash each. I cannot be slashed by him. Black Crow was very clear on Blade River Emperor's information. The fight that got him famous had long spread far and wide. From that battle alone, everyone knew of his powerful defense. He was able to withstand even the strongest Flame God Crystal's explosion. Secondly, his blade was special, and it should be a special weapon. These 2 points showed one thing, which was that Blade River was very wealthy, with the strongest Flame God Crystal and a special blade. They are all external strengths, a soul attack would do the trick. Become my slave. Black Crow's jade-green eyes gleamed with madness, as he gazed at the distant Luo Feng, instantly unleashing an illusion. The invisible technique instantly passed through Luo Feng's general armor. But its power was greatly weakened before entering his body. Howl. His internal core had long formed a beast god, a single-horned beast with thick limbs and a long tail. This miniature beast god had a tower pearl around it. However, this illusion attack wasn't even enough for it to show itself. The beast god howled and unleashed one of the 4 techniques of the Nanshan 7 forms, beast god howl. With powerful willpower and consciousness, this howl was extremely powerful. The illusion was instantly dispersed. Go. Luo Feng released the 6 black balls in his left hand. Every one was about the size of a marble, and lore engravings glowed on it. These 6 seemingly normal black balls, who would expect them to be the incredibly terrifying sealed stars, these were much more powerful than normal stars. Striking a star would cause it to crumble. However, these black balls that were the size of marbles seemed ordinary. With his powerful spirit energy triggering the 6 balls, they flew in a straight line fast as lightning straight at Black Crow. My soul illusion was actually dispersed, those 6 balls, not good. Black Crow saw the black balls shooting at him, causing a thin slit in the space as it flew. This slit was incredibly fine, almost like a pathway being slit open, for the balls to fly through. How could Black Crow not be clear of what this meant? Black Crow wanted to dodge, but the black balls were very fast. Even with the Showu wings, Luo Feng wouldn't have been able to dodge them easily himself. After all, spirit weapons were much faster than a warrior. Rumble. Black Crow brandished a white peculiar shield, as the first black ball hit the shield with terrifying force. With a bang, the arm Black Crow used to wield the shield was already completely smashed behind. At the same time, the second ball had smashed into the shield. Rumble. The shield was tossed aside in a beam of light that vanished into the vast snow. Rumble. 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 The 4 consecutive balls that followed hit Black Crow's body. Even though he fought hard against them, the force from the balls was terrifying, striking his body hard. This was much stronger than any attack he had ever received in Zhongzi Star back then. His bones and muscles were all instantly shattered. Kai. He spat out blood from within, blood stained his broken body. However, in almost an instant, his body had recovered completely. It's useless. A Pinnacle Emperor's undying body isn't so easy to destroy. He stared hard at the distant Luo Feng, Moji Hao. Rumble. A terrifying soul attack instantly pierced through Luo Feng's general armor, but 90% of it was diffused. After which, with the beast god Hal within, it was almost completely dispersed, not even touching the beast god itself, much less any damage. Luo Feng was very satisfied within. The star map's strength is indeed powerful. I didn't even unleash any wonders before, and purely used the strength of my consciousness, and the 6 sealed stars alone. Even that was enough to make him unable to defend against it. The star map was a true treasure. The many sealed stars were much more powerful than normal stars. Just pushing it with his consciousness and willpower gave it that much strength. That experiment made him incredibly satisfied. This was the benefits of a true treasure. Compared to the Showu wings, this sealed star combination with the star map was actually even easier to unleash greater strength. In terms of control, it was as difficult as a true treasure would be, but its strength was extraordinary. Experiment complete, begin the hunt. He looked at the distant Black Crow and controlled the 6 black balls. The lore engravings on their surfaces lit up this time, immediately triggering the universe laws. Within an instant, a giant projection of a huge beast god appeared. Only its right claw had the 6 balls gathered there, and the projection was incredibly distinct. The beast god's sky-tearing claw. Isn't this Blade River known for his blade work? Black Crow was terrified. The vast law energies from the 6 balls caused a huge surge in power. Tear. The huge claw tore down and he was instantly shredded. The powerful claw sliced apart even the little fragments. In the distance, Luo Feng's eyes gleamed at the sight. Now, a black ball appeared in his left palm, and this one was covered in a layer of purple light. It was coated in the Fei Mo poison. The star map had absorbed 100 sealed stars, but right now just how many was he using? Hence he had 10 sealed stars specially coated in Fei Mo poison. This purple light ball became a beam of light, and shot at the recovering Black Crow. The countless fragments were gathering, and before he could take form, the black ball shot right through. Attacks are usual, no. Black Crow felt his god body attacked, instantly losing 52% of it, shocking him. Flee! 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 He immediately communicated to his partners. Flee! The other 2 fortress-like Chiojia warriors were shocked. However, having been in the outer region wars for a long time, their reactions were fast, immediately turning and fleeing. Rumble. Black Crow lost more than half of his strength, as a powerful spirit energy permeated his body. 10,000 Soul Control 1. Luo Feng stared hard at him, unleashing his technique. In his plan, to control Black Crow, he first had to deplete his strength to less than 10%, before using 10,000 Soul Control to forcefully control him. This was an unavoidable thing. If he wanted to force him into a coma, he would have to use the Fei Mo poison twice. However, each attack could destroy 30 to 80% at a go, and he had no way to precisely control its effectiveness. With two balls attacking Black Crow, it could cause him to fall instantly. Even if his luck was good and the enemy was forced into a coma. However, even if he did manage to control a comatose undying, would he spend over 100 billion mixed elements to recover him? To Luo Feng, spending so much for an undying slave wasn't worth it at all. After all, he already had Heavy Arrow. In all, the best way was to rely on the poison during the first attack and make him suffer heavy losses. After that, forcefully use 10,000 Soul Control on him. My willpower is very strong. With the General Soul assisting it. Using 10,000 Soul Control, the power of it would naturally be exceptionally powerful, and this Black Crow's current strength is not even 10% of his full power. I hope I can succeed. Luo Feng used his full strength and stared hard at him, beginning to invade his soul. Black Crow's body fell from mid-air and landed in the snow, not moving at all. However, his soul was currently engaging in a powerful struggle. Trying to control me. No. 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 I'd rather fall, there's still a chance of revival. If I'm controlled, then there's no hope for revival at all. Break. Break. He howled within, as his entire soul was madly struggling, finally breaking through Luo Feng's control. Explode. The moment he broke free, he immediately self-destructed. The terrifying force instantly spread in all directions, covering the entire forbidden space. The vast snow was instantly reduced to nothing. Even the two Qiu Jiu brothers were injured from it. As for Luo Feng and Heavy Arrow, they were naturally unharmed. I failed. He stood in space, not even looking at the items left behind by Black Crow, only sighing. To control an undying close to strength sure is hard. Strength, planning, and luck, I cannot lack in any of these. Master. Heavy Arrow said. Kill the other two. He ordered immediately. Yes. Heavy Arrow flipped his hand and brandished an arc blade covered in purple light, rushing at the two injured Qiu Jiu warriors. With Heavy Arrow's strength with the Fei Mo poison, Luo Feng stood in the distance casually tossing the 6 sealed stars out. Each of them were incredibly heavy. Even though Luo Feng didn't use any of the laws with them, they could at least affect the two Qiu Jiu brothers who were fleeing. Hence, the two of them fell quickly. After killing Black Crow and the others, Black Crow had treasures worth about 30 billion mixed elements, while the other two had a total of about 18 billion. I actually failed, on to the next prey then. Luo Feng contacted the Star Tower, and large amounts of information instantly poured into his mind, allowing him to make his choice. Good, the target will still be Emperor Pinnacle Soul Masters. Star Tower, open a pathway. Luo Feng gazed ahead. The torn-up forbidden space suddenly had an exit appear. Luo Feng and Heavy Arrow flew right through the exit into the space pathway into another space. There were 4 bug camp warriors there, of which there was 1 Emperor Pinnacle Soul Master. Let's hope it works this time. Luo Feng anticipated. 3 minutes later. The space was left in a mess, and the sea had been reduced to nothing as a large half of the seabed had vanished. Silver-winged Luo Feng stood high above, as Heavy Arrow stood still respectfully by his side. Master, the many treasures add up to about 60 billion. Heavy Arrow said respectfully. Luo Feng nodded, after which he shook his head and sighed, we failed again. Master, to control a soul master is extremely hard. They are all warriors that have spent countless years studying how to control soul techniques. Since they are incredibly adept at the soul techniques, to capture them requires quite a bit of luck. Heavy Arrow said respectfully, however, our earnings are still huge. Killing more warriors would create anger in others, making the absolute beings appear. Luo Feng said softly. Hence I have to succeed this time. Yes, Master. Heavy Arrow's expression went serious. There were a few hidden rules known in the universe, like how a knight could easily kill emperors and officials. Naturally, the emperors and officials wouldn't dare offend the knight, as they had their own pride. If they offended one, they would naturally be killed. However, the knights would not go about massacring large amounts of undyings. If they did so, everybody would get enraged. The other knights would team up to deal with this one. Same theory, like True Yang, an invincible emperor, he needn't head to the outer region wars. As for Seven Blade, Da Long, Life Fall etc., if they took out their trump cards, they could easily kill pinnacle officials, or even emperor limits. Killing once or twice was fine, even killing 10 of them consecutively was okay. However, if they went overboard, it would lead to many others getting enraged. After all, a pinnacle emperor and an emperor limit were the elites of the many races. If they were massacred in large numbers, the super beings of their race would naturally want to take revenge. Luo Feng brought Heavy Arrow along and began to hunt. The first day, they battled 3 times, killing all the enemies and not even succeeding once. They acquired treasures worth about 160 billion mixed elements. The second day, they battled 3 more times, killing all of them. As for soul control, they still failed. But they did acquire about 210 billion. Third day. 4 days in a row. A total of 12 battles were fought. The targets were all Emperor Pinnacle Soul Masters, however all 12 of them fell, and not one succeeded. Of which only 9 of them managed to spread the news of Blade River being the killer. The other 3 died too fast, as they didn't even have time to inform others. 9 Pinnacle Emperor Soul Masters fell, and the culprit was Blade River. Luckily, the 9 of them were from 3 different camps. The camps were all enemies of one another, and news wouldn't travel between them too quickly. However, within each camp itself, the news had spread that Blade River had begun killing Emperor Pinnacle Soul Masters. Automaton Camp, 4 were killed. Demon Camp, 2 were killed. Bug Camp, 3 were killed. This Blade River Emperor sure is powerful. A total of 4 Emperor Pinnacle Soul Masters all died by his hands. I heard that his defense was heavenly, and was able to withstand the strongest flame god crystal explosion. I didn't expect him to be so intrepid even against Soul Masters, killing 4 consecutively. Material defense, soul defense, both are so strong, he truly is terrifying. Terrifying Blade River Emperor. The name Blade River had begun to spread again, after 6,000 years of silence. The last time, Blade River had Heavy Arrow as his slave and could withstand the strongest flame god crystal. His terrifying material defense had made many not underestimate him. However, no matter what, from what happened, he still relied on many external factors to kill so many. This time, however, against the falling of the Soul Masters, this had completely terrified all the other warriors. Material attack. Soul attack. Blade River would withstand it all. How could they deal with such an absolute warrior with no weaknesses? Even though his name spread fast, within the short time, it wasn't too absurd. On the second hunt during the 5th day, within a burning island space, a human-like silhouette with crystals embedded in his body stood there covered in little diamonds. From a glance, he looked like a diamond man. He lay on the island. His soul imprints within his body were all struggling madly. However, after the Famo poison's attack, He only had 36% of his undying body left, and his strength was greatly diminished. Within the past few days, Luo Feng had battled 3 times each day, and each battle lasting at most a few minutes. What was he doing with the rest of his time? He was studying the 10,000 soul control, embedding the laws within to make it even more powerful, studying it over and over, making his technique grow more refined. Submit. Luo Feng felt the enemy's resistance get stronger, pressing on. Rumble. Vast soul threads instantly invaded his soul. Success. I've finally succeeded. His eyes revealing joy. It wasn't easy at all, as he had spent so much effort. By using the Star Tower's ability to pick his targets, only after so many tries did he succeed for the first time. Pa Luo Wa race. Luo Feng looked at the Diamond Man. He stood up, his gaze towards Luo Feng filled with utmost respect. Luo Feng had become this being's most important person. He bowed respectfully, Master. Luo Feng nodded and smiled, Honed Heart Emperor. A distant silhouette flew over. It was Heavy Arrow Emperor. He landed beside and said respectfully, Master, I've killed the other 2 warriors, these are the items left behind. Ha ha ha. Luo Feng couldn't help but laugh loudly. Heavy Arrow glanced over at the Diamond Man Honed Heart Emperor when he saw this, immediately saying, Congratulations Master on controlling Honed Heart Emperor. It wasn't easy, not at all. I spent so much time and effort to get this one. Luo Feng continued laughing, luckily the Fei Mo poison is very strong, causing him to lose so much strength. Only then could I succeed. With him, it'll be much easier to get more slaves. Honed Heart could burn his undying body, causing his soul control to instantly surge in power. That way, the chances of controlling another slave was much higher. With him here, our next target should be an emperor limit. Luo Feng was filled with ambition within. Take a rest Honed Heart, recover your strength. Luo Feng took out some items he acquired before to help Honed Heart recover. After all, he had killed many emperors before and they all had quite a few such items for recovery. It was obviously kept for use in times of emergency, to recover quickly. At this time, Luo Feng had given them to Honed Heart Emperor. There was no choice. Only a fully recovered Honed Heart Emperor was useful to him. Everything went according to Luo Feng's plan. After he got Honed Heart, his control proficiency rose greatly. The only trouble was that he couldn't let the enemy burn his undying body. The moment they did, even if Honed Heart burnt his undying body, controlling them would be hard. Before, without Honed Heart to help him, the moment the enemy burnt their undying bodies, Luo Feng immediately gave up on capturing, and chose to kill them instead. With the Showu wings and star map, he could forcefully kill them. Heavy Arrow had the ancient clock on him, and he wasn't afraid of the enemies burning their undying bodies. He too could easily kill them. After acquiring Honed Heart, Luo Feng's probability of success had risen from 20% to 33%. Hence, he gradually began to not show himself, but letting his slaves make the moves instead. 2 emperor limits combined together with treasures he provided, the Fei Mo poison and the sealed stars, the hunt had begun. Every time a sealed star fell, it would be a huge ruckus. Almost all the fallen sealed stars were recorded in history. Hence, even though he had given his slaves the sealed stars, he had told them strictly to not use its sealing abilities, only shrinking them to little crystal balls to attack. With the sealed stars infused with the laws within, just its offensive abilities, though far from its sealing strength, was powerful enough. After all, the plan was to simply use the sealed stars to attack. Become a crystal ball to attack. The other warriors wouldn't be able to recognize them as sealed stars. After all, its true use was normally for more than to completely seal the enemies. And these crystal balls were hard to determine. The sealed stars are linked to the star tower. This cannot be divulged. You too, unless I allow it, you must never use its sealing abilities. Luo Feng made a strict order, not only on the soul slaves but to himself. He could only use them to attack. And unless it was truly critical, he never allowed his soul slaves to even use them. After the battle, he would collect them back, preventing an occasion where his slaves were killed and others acquired the sealed stars. He didn't even give any to his teacher Tru Yang. After all, the Star Tower had a huge implication. He couldn't gamble with that kind of danger. This entire hunt was within his own territory, the Star Tower. Everything was within his control. Only because of this, was he confident enough to let his soul slaves use the sealed stars. Without a doubt. The proficiency left him pleasantly surprised. The hunt lasted for a month, of which he battled 3 times a day for the first 8 days. Later on he only did 1 battle a day. Within this month of hunting, Luo Feng was the main force during the first 6 days. However, later on, he began to hide and let his slaves do the job. Even though the proficiency may have fallen slightly without him, it didn't affect the hunt too much, and doing so would help him avoid huge troubles later on. After all, if he appeared every time as the main leader, he would be in big trouble for killing too many warriors. A total of 46 battles were fought in a month. This made his slave count grow from the initial heavy arrow to a total of 9. Meaning, from his hunt, he had acquired 8 new slaves. Congratulations, Master. Master, these are the goods left behind. The soul slaves were all absolutely loyal, giving all the treasures from the battles to him. As for their own wealth and treasures, they gave to him also. And Luo Feng arranged them on his own after, leaving them a few according to his plan. Even though he managed to get a huge amount of wealth from the 46 battles, upgrading the strength of the 9 slaves would require his own strength and resources. He felt the pressure. The shockwave that he had created spread throughout Star Tower. Initially, he had brought Heavy Arrow with him to the many battles, and the news had spread between the 3 camps. At that time, the number of warriors he killed hadn't reached so high yet. Even though it had made him more renowned than before, the entire Star Tower was still considered pretty calm. However, as time passed, the news of him killing more warriors shook the entire place. 6 days, 18 battles, 13 of which spread the news. There were about a total of 40 emperors dying at the hands of Blade River Emperor, among which 13 of them were Pinnacle Emperors and Soul Masters, or Emperor Limits. The news spread fast and shook Star Tower. The outer region wars was a massacre place. The warriors there wouldn't back down from fear of Blade River's strength. His actions had indeed enraged many. Many warriors from the other races began to form groups, all looking for him and Heavy Arrow, wanting to kill him. The originally calm, over 100,000 Undyings thus had more intense battles. This resulted in many more casualties. However, when they had begun to look for him, he vanished. The many battles that took place never had Blade River in them. In truth, some of the slaves Luo Feng got didn't reveal their enslavement. Hence, Luo Feng had arranged for them to form groups of 2 or 3 to hunt 1 battle a day. Without Luo Feng within, no one would suspect that he was involved. The atmosphere had gotten pretty crazy within Star Tower because of the massacre from Blade River Emperor. After he vanished, he secretly sent his slaves to target Pinnacle Soul Masters, or Emperor Limits. There were still many that fell. The deaths of these warriors caused the atmosphere to go crazy. It's too crazy, even a Pinnacle Emperor or Emperor Limit can fall here. It's best we leave Star Tower temporarily. Ha ha, this is a rare encounter. With warriors dying, we have a chance of getting huge wealth. Kill. It's rare to have a chance to battle. Normally, Those hard-to-deal-with warriors would just retreat. That's seriously boring. Right now, Star Tower is truly a battleground. Some of the weaker and scared warriors left Star Tower. However, other bloodthirsty and confident warriors rushed here, causing the chaos within to ensue. There were also many still searching for Blade River. However, they couldn't locate him at all. Within a forbidden space, a glaring gold-armored silhouette glowing with black light, seemingly like an automaton puppet, was present. This cold automaton warrior was the automaton super warrior that had just rushed here, Lifefall Emperor. He actually killed so many Pinnacle Emperor Soul Masters, and so many Emperor Limits. Over 10 of them. And the many other emperors. His voice was filled with strength. His eyes were gleaming with fighting spirit. This warrior is worthy of my time. Behind him 6 others followed respectfully. I've come here for Blade River Emperor. Lifefall was excited. At his level of strength, he wasn't interested in dealing with normal Emperor Limits anymore. If he wanted to fight, it had to be one with special encounters. Or heavy treasures. Or one with special battling abilities. In all, it had to be special. When the sealed star fell before, he didn't manage to kill 7 Blade, and that made him regretful. He didn't have any guarantee dealing with 7 Blade or Da Long, such absolute warriors. However, against a new Blade River Emperor that was just a little more renowned than other Emperor Limits, he was confident. Lord, we cannot find Blade River. We've contacted many other allies, none of them have discovered him. Lifefall's eyes gleamed with rage as he heard this. This audacious Blade River had created such a storm, killing over 10 Pinnacle Soul Masters and Emperor Limits, yet now he's just vanished. Has he left Star Tower? Check for me. We have automaton warriors all over, and I will also give a bounty of 1 billion indigo gems for news on his location. The moment we confirm the news is real, I will give the reward. Yes. Yes, Lord. The 6 warriors replied. Blade River Emperor. Lifefall's eyes gleamed. He was clear that since Blade River could kill so many warriors, he definitely had some treasure or encounters. Also, just the wealth from killing so many emperors, that would be no small sum even to him. The moment he killed Blade River, he would get a huge windfall. Naturally, he wouldn't give up so easily on his target. Blade River Emperor. Check. Find out where Blade River is. Da Long had targeted him too. Killing him would get him a huge windfall, why not? This storm had started because of Blade River. Even though he had killed so many absolute warriors, he was only that strong himself. Killing the Emperor Limits wasn't considered a massacre, plus the numbers weren't huge, hence the super beings didn't intervene. However, warriors like Lifefall, Da Long and Black Tomb were renowned warriors of the outer region wars. Hence, they all began to target him. The level of strength begets the level of fame. Since Blade River dared to cause such a storm, then the others would naturally covet for his wealth. It became a challenge to see whether one could defeat Blade River. As long as Blade River could flee from Lifefall or Da Long, that would be proof of his strength. Virtual Universe, Luo Feng's villa. There were only 2 people in his living room, Luo Feng and Tru Yang. Luo Feng, you've caused quite a storm this time, what are you doing? Tru Yang stared at his own disciple. Your reputation has grown huge, and that would attract stronger enemies. I think, Black Tomb, Da Long, that group of punks could all be targeting you. No problem. Luo Feng smiled. No problem. Tru Yang shook his head. Look, you don't even know how many of these other race warriors are trying to kill you, and your reputation within the Hong Alliance is huge too. With frequent dealings with many warriors, like those exploring dangerous secret regions, they would invite you along. The name represents strength. Without sufficient strength behind, you will fall. Tru Yang looked at him. I have had some special encounters. Luo Feng smiled and consoled his teacher. Tru Yang was shocked. Special encounters. Are you fully confident of being able to survive and escape from such warriors? Tru Yang couldn't believe it. His disciple was powerful, but these other warriors, which of them didn't have their own treasures and encounters? Which of them didn't have huge amounts of treasure? How powerful were they? I have confidence. Luo Feng nodded, without any hesitation. Tru Yang looked shocked at him. After which he sighed and shook his head. Forget it, forget it. Since you are so confident, let's see what happens. I will work hard and not disappoint you. Luo Feng mocked. There were indeed many trying to befriend him after his name grew. However, he dealt with them casually. Only with his teacher did he actually take the time to meet and handle any questions. Within the palace in Star Tower surrounded by sealed stars, silver-armored Luo Feng stood there, and behind him stood a row of absolute warriors, a total of 9. They were Heavy Arrow, Emperor Limit; Honed Heart, Emperor Pinnacle Soul Master; Zhenzhong, Emperor Limit; Metal Flag, Emperor Limit; Sorrow Demon, Emperor Pinnacle Soul Master; Chu Kan, Emperor Pinnacle Soul Master; Ji Hong, Emperor Limit, holding the true treasure Ancient Clock; Mountain Howl, Emperor Limit; Fu Shui, Emperor Limit, holding the true treasure Ice Net. These were the 9 warriors Luo Feng controlled. There were a total of 46 battles in his hunt, killing over 100 emperors. Of which, when he killed a high emperor, he was lucky to discover he had the true treasure Ice Net. Killing so many emperor limits and soul masters, however, didn't get him any true treasures. According to their strengths and styles, he finally gave the Ice Net to Fu Shui to use, and the Ancient Clock was more suited for Ji Hong Emperor. Part 1 end here.